When a human dies, the body begins to decompose. Humanity was created eternal, but sin entered the world, and the wages of sin is death. We came from dust, and because of sin we return to dust, just as God declared in Genesis 3:19, "For you are dust, and to dust you shall return." Decomposition is not just biology. It is a spiritual sign. The physical body has no life in itself. It only lives while the spirit dwells in it. Ecclesiastes 12:7. When the spirit leaves, what remains is mortal flesh, corruptible, weak, and opposed to the spirit, as Paul describes in Romans 8. At death, the soul leaves behind the shell it once used, a body that fought against the spirit until the last moment. Heaven is holy, and many deaths reflect a spiritual struggle for purification and salvation. God is holy, and we must pursue holiness through fasting, prayer, love, forgiveness, patience, charity, and drawing near to Him. Why does death exist at all? Because humanity was created for eternity. Death was not part of the original design. God created free beings, not robots forced to obey. Scripture is clear. The wages of sin is death. Romans 6:23. Through disobedience, sin entered the world, bringing with it every form of corruption. Idolatry, sickness, aging, decay, lust, violence, lies, envy, addictions, and mortality. The human body, once perfect and eternal, became fragile and subject to temptation and death. Flesh became the symbol of our fallen nature, the skeleton, the visible sign of death. That's why Paul says the mind governed by the flesh is death, Romans 8:6. But why do even babies who never sinned experience decomposition? Biblically and spiritually, this reflects not personal guilt, but the human condition after the fall. All are born in Adam, 1 Corinthians 15:22. All inherit mortality. Our nature became fallen. Neuroscience confirms that humans are born with inherited biological patterns, emotional circuits, and unconscious predispositions that exist before personal experience. Psychology calls this the deep unconscious. This opens space for the spiritual understanding that our story did not begin at birth. That's why the case of Esau and Jacob is symbolic. They struggled in the womb, Genesis 25:22-23. Jeremiah 1:5 echoes this. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. To know implies relationship, and relationship implies existence. The baby is surrounded by amniotic fluid, linked etymologically to amnesia, the forgetting of pre-existence. Biologically, that fluid supports neural development, while the brain undergoes deep unconsciousness and memory erasure. Neuroscience confirms that until age 6, the brain goes through massive neural pruning, a natural process of forgetting. Spiritually, this reflects the veil over our pre-existent identity. Only later, through the Spirit, comes the second birth, John 3:3, the awakening of true identity. Creation follows this cycle: birth, death, and rebirth. Revelation 12 reveals a spiritual conflict before earthly life. Our mortal existence flows from that first fall. The first death reaches everyone, the second death only those who reject restoration. Revelation 20:6. God takes no pleasure in death, Ezekiel 33:11, but He is just. Moses is a striking example. He died holy, full of strength, Deuteronomy 34:7. In Jude 1:9, Satan disputed his body, but could not touch him because Moses was covered in holiness. That's why his body was never found. Why do we return to dust? Some bodies did not. Christ ascended, Elijah was taken in a chariot of fire, and Enoch was translated. These are signs of incorruption. The more corrupted a life is, the more corruption reaches the body through sickness, aging, and death. Medicine confirms psychosomatic disease. Psychology confirms that destructive behavior produces emotional and physical decay. Science confirms that stress and guilt accelerate cellular breakdown. The spiritual realm confirms that internal corruption manifests externally. The spiritual and physical worlds are intertwined, and the final message is sharp and urgent. Those who see only with their eyes see nothing. Those who see with a transformed heart see everything. Stop finding pleasure in sin. It is killing your destiny. Renew your mind, rebuild your future. You were not born for dust, you were born for eternity.